That evening, at Le Bernardin, dessert arrived. Catherine turned her spoon over, silver-plated. Sarah picked up hers. The weight was wrong. Dessert tastes better with a silver spoon, whether it's plated or solid. She ate the creme brulee anyway. James Whitfield watched her, a beat longer than necessary. In that moment, he decided. 36 weeks later, she stood in a $13 million penthouse. Everything was perfect, too perfect. She knocked lightly on the bookshelf. No sound of wood, only the sound of her own heartbeat. The question she hadn't dared ask from the beginning: how could a place like this know her so well? The Part 1, the silver-plated spoon. 6 weeks before everything began, Le Bernardin, West 51st Street. James Whitfield's older sister, Catherine, 40 years old, platinum hair cut short, jewelry understated in the way of women who have never needed to announce their money. She invited Sarah Mitchell to dinner, a gesture of thanks. The Greenwich estate, 7 bedrooms, indoor pool, 40 acres of private woodland. Sarah closed it in 3 months, not because the property was easy to sell, but because she knew what Catherine wanted before Catherine said it aloud. That was what she was best at. They sat at a corner table, west-facing. Catherine talked about plans to restore the woodland, then about her grandmother's silver flatware collection, the habit it had left her, checking hallmarks on every silver object she encountered, whether at a restaurant or someone else's home. Sarah listened the right way, not to respond, but to understand the person speaking. 6 years in the business, she had learned that people don't buy houses. They buy a better version of the life they're already living. James Whitfield arrived at 9 p.m., later than expected. Charcoal suit. He sat down, ordered a burgundy, let the conversation continue without needing to enter it. Sarah knew him the way an agent knows a client. The Whitfield family had purchased 7 properties through her firm in 4 years. He never haggled, never paid late, never called at 11 p.m. asking about terms, the kind of client every agent wants. She rarely dined alone with him. There were things about him she didn't know. Dessert arrived. Catherine lifted her spoon and turned it over, a collector's reflex.
Silver-plated,
she said. Sarah picked up hers. The weight was wrong.
Dessert tastes better with a silver spoon, whether it's plated or solid,
Sarah said. Catherine looked at her.
You're fascinating.
Sarah smiled, changed the subject. James Whitfield said nothing. He picked up his spoon, looked at it, set it down, then looked at Sarah, the look of a man who had just confirmed what he had been searching for, and found it. Sarah didn't see that look. She was eating her creme brulee. That was the moment James Whitfield decided, not about real estate. A few days later, Whitfield's assistant brought a box to her office. Inside, a set of solid silver spoons. A small handwritten note lay beneath the box. Sterling silver, the right weight, J.W. Part 2. 3 people, 1 dinner table. 6 weeks later, Aurelius, 31st floor, Midtown Manhattan. Friday, 8 p.m. The kind of restaurant with no prices on the menu. The kind where the waiter knows your name before you sit down. A round table, a perfect triangle. To Sarah's left, Daniel Shaw, navy shirt, no tie, hair slightly long in the way of creative men who know they look good with hair slightly long. To her right, James Whitfield, charcoal suit, Patek Philippe, seated like a man accustomed to being the most important person in the room, without needing anyone to confirm it. His chair faced the Hudson. Tonight was particular, in more ways than one. Whitfield had just signed the contract for the 23rd floor penthouse at Wonderland Residences, full floor, Hudson River view, $10.5 million. This year, she had brokered 3 properties for the Whitfield family. Daniel was here because Sarah had invited him, because tonight was the night she was giving him the biggest thing she could give, an opportunity. She had met Daniel Shaw 18 months earlier at a design exhibition in Chelsea she attended for pleasure. He was standing beside the model of a loft he was working on, explaining to a visitor why natural light matters more than artificial light in a living space. She stopped to listen. He noticed she was listening for real, not out of politeness, and turned to talk to her. They had talked about light and space for 2 hours before they knew each other's names. She knew he had won the ASID New York Award the previous year, knew the cologne he wore, Maison Margiela replica, by the fireplace. He wore it every time they met. And he knew her, knew the Pinterest board with 847 images, knew she took the stairs instead of the elevator because she called it a free gym, knew she forgot to drink her coffee when she was thinking about something else, knew she always called things by their right name. Daniel remembered one evening they went to a furniture exhibition. He had bought the tickets. The launch of an Italian furniture designer's collection, exactly his field. She had dressed well, nude heels. On the way back, Daniel looked down.
Nice shoes, Ferragamo.
Sarah looked at him.
You know Ferragamo?
Just the name.
He admitted.
Looks expensive.
Not Ferragamo. A small house in Florence, handmade, no logo. Genuine leather all the way through.
You flip the sole over to check before you buy?
Don't you touch the material before you choose?
He smiled, then looked at her the way he looked at her when she said something he wanted to remember. That evening at Aurelius, Daniel knew Whitfield as a well-known wealthy man in this city, Sarah's biggest client. What Daniel didn't know was that Whitfield already knew him, knew the ASID award, knew Daniel had been pursuing the woman he himself had been pursuing for 3 years. When had Whitfield found out? When Catherine mentioned her?
She's something, James. Is anyone after her?
Catherine tended to ask questions like that. Whitfield tended to listen.
Mr. Whitfield.
Sarah said softly, the way she opened everything that mattered.
You mentioned wanting someone who truly understands space.
Whitfield looked at her, not at Daniel.
This is Daniel Shaw. He just won the ASID New York Award. And he can design a living space that creates exactly the feeling the owner wants.
She stopped at the right moment, knowing when to be silent. Daniel looked at her with the expression she had recognized since month 3. The expression of a man not used to being given something too large and not knowing how to react. He looked down at his glass. Whitfield looked at Daniel, then at Sarah. 1 second.
The Vestry Street project? I know Marcus Heller. He said your design made him feel happier than he expected.
Sarah glanced at Whitfield quickly, too precise, too perfectly timed. Then she let it go. There was too much information to process tonight. The dinner went exactly as she had planned. Whitfield made no promises, just offered his card, said someone would be in touch. That was enough. Daniel drove his silver Audi A6 and took Sarah home, his hand on the wheel, streetlights moving across his face.
You know, I've dreamed of working for someone like Mr. Whitfield since my first year out of school. The kind of client who doesn't ask about price, who only asks, what do you need to do this at your best?
Sarah looked at Manhattan through the window, city lights sliding past.
Mr. Whitfield won't disappoint you?
You're the one giving me this.
She smiled. She didn't know then that she wasn't just giving Daniel an opportunity. She was placing her own reputation on the table in front of the man who had decided 6 weeks earlier at Le Bernardin. The renderings were already spread across the table. 2 cups of coffee, gone cold. But what was really on the table wasn't the renderings.